Miss Kaitlin Kreczmer. I thought I was on the stream. I am having some issues with my technology these days, but I'm sure everyone heard me, I hope. But ladies, I'm so excited to have Kaitlin with us today. She's amazing, phenomenal woman. And I can't wait for you to hear her story because when she started sharing it with me, when we first started to talk a few weeks ago, it was incredible, the journey that she's been on. And we'll get into that. But first, as always, I love to start these interviews with questions. Real easy, super easy.
No pressure.
There's no pressure. I promise you, they're not hard. They're not going to make, I hope they won't stump you because they're just really super chill. But again, this is just to get to know you a little bit before we get into, the core of our conversation. Because I really feel like this is why I do these. I love doing these interviews, is to really showcase you as a person to the community so that everyone gets to know you and how beautiful and amazing you are. So if you are ready, I'd like to get started with those. Just a couple, I promise.
Let's do it. Take it easy on me. Let's do it, though.
Okay. So this is one I always ask, and it starts it off, and I think it's just because I want you to really focus on you, because I realize that, again, this is all about you. So the first question is, describe yourself using 3 words.
I'm going to have to go with bold, beautiful, and brave or daring.
Ooh, well, brave and daring could go together, right?
I think they could. I mean, you have to be brave enough to take a chance and do something daring, right?
Yes.
But yeah, bold, beautiful for sure. And then brave or daring. Let's go with that.
Yes, absolutely. And I do apologize for not getting on screen first before I started talking, but I've had some major storm going on outside here in Florida. It just seems to it has calmed a little bit. Like I told you, my new mantra that I found online was
beautiful, by the way.
It was really cool. And this person who wrote it, I don't even remember where I got it from, but it was kudos, girl, go. I love it. So
perfect timing.
Perfect timing. Yes. Okay. So second question, what's something over the past year that you're super excited about and you are celebrating?
First, the start of my business, Master Your Body Mindset Coaching. But with that, I've actually also been invited to speak at a conference in Paris, France in March of next year. And I think having that recognition and that opportunity, because that's something I've always wanted to do, is one of the biggest things that I'm celebrating, to so quickly be recognized for my advocacy for women and to get to speak on a stage in Paris. I've never been to Paris. So that's something that's on the forefront of my mind right now.
Well, I might be hopping into your suitcase and
being please, before the merrier. Come support me and all these other women. It's going to be great.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, well, what would you say has been your greatest accomplishment in your life? I mean, obviously, probably this, right?
Yeah, definitely. I'll talk a bit about this as we, get into my story, but definitely stepping into my own, being daring, taking these bold actions and starting my own business and being able to use my passion to stand up for and advocate for women with body image and confidence.
I love that because I think it's so important. We as women have had these glasses on that have been, we see ourselves differently than how other people might see us. We would look at ourselves and think we're flawed, and other people are looking at us oh my gosh, what are you looking at? Because what I see is beauty standing in front of me. So I love what you're doing. Okay, so what would you say has been your greatest lesson learned?
Oh, my greatest lesson learned. Definitely believing in myself and trusting in myself. You were just saying about how we see ourselves through this lens where we just question ourselves and don't see ourselves as beautiful while other people do. And I think it's learning to see myself for who I truly am and seeing beauty in that, because that was a long journey for me. And I think finally stepping into that and harnessing that has brought me where I am today. And I want more women to feel what I feel now as opposed to what I used to feel.
Yeah, no, I love that because, again, we need more and more of that. I think what I love about the time now, it seems that women really are stepping into these roles of supporting each other, not just saying the words, but actually walking the talk. Whatever they say, they're actually walking the walk. And I love that. In other words, they're saying what they mean and they mean what they say, and they're backing it up with their actions. And I just absolutely love that.
Yeah,
Okay.
100%.
Yeah. Okay. So two more questions. I promise they're real easy. So, what would you say is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
To trust in myself, to follow my instincts.
Yeah. Great. And I know it's short, simple, and right to the point, and I love
And just,
that.
yeah, I don't know how to expand on that. You trust yourself, you trust your instincts, and that's what takes you to the next step. I don't really know how to expand on that, but just,
Yes.
kind of shutting out those outside voices and just doing what you think is best. Because when you listen to those outside voices, that's where you start to close in on yourself and you start to miss out on opportunity, right? So just trust your internal instinct and your voice. That comes from
Yeah.
faith, right?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, well, last question, and this one is the fun one. As you can see behind me, let me see if I can go this way. This is an elephant behind me, the
Yes.
mama, and right, you can't really see the baby, but she's got her baby right there. Elephants are my favorite animal of all time. In fact, elephants are my spirit animal, and I believe when I started actually looking into the reason why, it's the matriarch. The matriarch really resonates with me because she is the leader. She is the one, she's the biggest, but she's the leader. She helps takes them through danger. She makes sure the way ahead is clear, is safe, that they're on the right path, the right journey. She takes care of the herd and they revere her. And I'm not
Yes.
saying that I want to be revered, but I just love that they look to her for the guidance because they know she has their back.
Yeah.
And her eldest daughter, when she is gone, will take over the reins. And so I just love that. It was just,
I
it's so
love that.
beautiful. And
That's
they're
women
so they're
supporting women
major.
right there, right?
Exactly,
Like
exactly. So
community
that's, I
help.
think, why I'm so, it resonates with me so much. So
Yes.
if you, I'm not sure if you've ever done this. I know some people have done like a chart of their spirit animal, but I chose this as mine. I don't know. Do you have a spirit animal?
Okay, so I would actually have to say not 100% the elephant. That would be my second one. And I don't know if this is considered an animal, but I've always considered myself a butterfly. And part
Ooh,
of that is stemming from a joke from The Simpsons because Bart Simpson in one episode turns into a butterfly and says nobody ever blames the butterfly. No one ever suspects the butterfly. So it's that
mhm.
idea that you can get away with anything and plant seeds. And whether that's good or bad, I would be a butterfly for good. But also just the idea of transformation because that's my life.
Yes.
That's my story. That's who I am. And there's just so much freedom and grace and beauty in the life of a butterfly. And I know it's a short life. There's lots of debates about how great a butterfly's life is. But when you go from the worm to the crystallization to the butterfly, it's just this beautiful transformative process. And that's me and my story in a nutshell.
Oh,
But
I
I
love
do also love elephants. They are actually one of my favorite animals. So if it wasn't a butterfly, if that wasn't a substantial animal, it would have been the elephant.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think that's amazing. So thank you so much for just being gracious, answering these questions. I know sometimes it can feel a little bit daunting to be put on the spot, but I find that this is a really great way just to break the ice, let other, especially when we're doing this interview process for the group, for them to get to know you, to see you as a human being, not just, this businesswoman in the group, or, they need to like, it's just getting to know each other as if we're having just a chat, and
Yeah.
they're just listening in. So a couple of things I'd like to touch on with you are getting to know you, of course, your story. And I'd like to talk about your experience with body issues and your healthy movement that you are creating. So
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about that, and of course, what
Yeah.
you're doing today, what's in the books for your business, the community, your brand, all of that. I know we've spoken about your writing aspirations, and I'd love to know where you're at with that, and of course, what you're doing with your coaching is so inspiring because I know that what you're doing is really, really important. And as I said, like, body issues is huge and needed because as women, I know we're extremely hard on ourselves,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to our outer appearance,
Yeah.
what we show to the world. We don't think we're good enough if we're not a specific
Yeah.
standard, right? Or what we think that the world believes is beauty.
Yeah.
And so I love your story around this and can't wait for the ladies to hear about your struggles and your victories and like what you've got going on. So let's start at the beginning. Tell us
Okay.
who you are, your journey through life, your experiences, and what led you to where you are today.
Absolutely. So I am Kaitlin. I have officially dubbed myself the elevator to women's success. And I am a body image and mindset coach specializing in self worth and confidence. And my role and my mission is to elevate and empower determined women to rise up from despondence and take control of their lives by securing self worth and confidence. And you made a comment, Leslie, that a lot of women don't see themselves in a positive light, and we tend to devalue ourselves and have a negative self image. And all of that stems from society. And that's why I do what I do. Unfortunately, even though there have been improvements to this, appearance is still a fundamental systemic issue, and it's not going to change overnight, right? Like I say, there have been improvements, but not enough. But it's because of these systemic issues in diet culture and society that we as women have learned that if to look down on ourselves if we don't meet the aesthetic, the idea of the perfect appearance that's out there. And so in order for us to believe in ourselves, we have to change the story. We have to change our narrative for ourselves, because that allows us to step into the women that we want to be. And it's the only way to connect to our natural beauty and walk comfortably and confidently in our skin and bodies. No one else is going to do it for us. We have to believe in ourselves and love ourselves and accept ourselves to take that next step in our lives and live our epic lives that we desire. And so many women hold back. And that's kind of where my story starts. So do you want me just to dive in with the history? Okay, sounds good. So my entire life, I grew up, I was the fat kid. There's no denying that. I don't know if there's a better way to say that. So I just come out and say it like that. But I was the fat girl. I had braces. I have natural red hair, which wasn't popular back in the day. I had glasses, all the things that society said wasn't appropriate, wasn't beautiful, wasn't perfect. And so from a very early age, I kind of felt like I was on the outside looking in. There was nobody famous or nobody successful that looked like me, who represented me. And so that kind of stuck with me. And I was like, well, if there's no one like me, then who am I to succeed at things? And am I worthy of achieving things in my life? And so I grew up, the years went on, and I avoided social clubs in middle school, high school, and university. I stuck to myself. I convinced myself I was an introvert. And when I hit 19 and I got to that drinking age and I went out, I turned to alcohol. I had to be drunk in order to feel comfortable enough to socialize at the bars and with social groups. I would sexualize myself because I didn't think I was beautiful enough in myself to meet a man otherwise and get a relationship. I would pretend I was confident. I would make fun. I would literally make fun of my body and make jokes. Like I'd be talking about going to the beach, for example, and I talk about myself and be like, oh, here comes Shamu. Because I thought pointing out my size would make other people more comfortable with it and make me more comfortable with it and would prevent somebody else from being able to make a comment. So it was this complete fear of judgment that I put myself down. And so that stuck with me. And the next thing I knew, I was 29 years old, and all of a sudden I weighed over 250 pounds. So I had gone from being fat to being obese. And I used to watch all the time. I'm not sure if you've heard of the show, My 600-Pound Life. It's a very popular reality show on TLC. I think it's still on. I'm not sure. I don't watch much TV anymore. But it was my favorite show at the time. And I would sit there every week with my snacks in my bed. I'd have my can of cider, my chips, my gummy bears, sometimes pizza, literally just sitting in my bed eating, watching the show. And one night when I was watching it, I had my aha moment, my faith moment. And I thought two things are going to happen to me if I keep going on this path. The first thing is I'm either going to die, or the second thing, I was going to wind up featured on an episode of My 600-Pound Life because I was gaining weight so rapidly. And I have high cholesterol in my family. So there were health concerns as well, right? Which is why I thought that I was going to die. And in that moment, I said, no, you're 29 years old, Kaitlin. There has to be another way. Why is eating your happy place? Why is this, why are we coping with food? What's going on? So I started to talk to someone. I sought help because I knew there was a problem outside of myself. Well, I thought it was completely outside of myself at the time. And so I started talking to someone. And that's when I found out that all of the detachment I had from myself and my physical appearance and the way I devalued myself growing up because I thought I wasn't good enough because of my body, that affected me. And food became my happy place and became my coping mechanism because food wouldn't judge me. Food couldn't talk back to me. Food couldn't put me down. It made me feel good and comfortable. But because eating happens so quickly, you're constantly eating, right? You constantly need to keep going. So I couldn't stop. And at the time, I was kind of like, why am I even in this position? Because I have everything that society says you need to be successful. I had a husband, I had a job, I had friends, I had family. But then I realized a lot of the things I had were things I settled into. They were not to the caliber of the visions that I had for myself previously, right? The things that I gave up on because I thought I wasn't good enough. So the long and short of it is once I hit this aha moment and started talking to someone, that's when I learned about the power that I held within and that we all hold within to believe in ourselves and trust in ourselves and love ourselves. Because it's only in doing that that we can truly appreciate who we are and learn to attach our appearance from our worth, because they're not one and the same. And like I said at the beginning, that's what a lot of women assume because of society, right? But they're not one and the same. So as I came into myself and realized there wasn't a problem with my body, the problem was the attitude I held about my body, my confidence started to flourish. I decided I wasn't an introvert. I wanted to go out and meet people, and I didn't want to make jokes about my body anymore. I'm Kaitlin. This is who I am. Take it or leave it. If I'm not good enough for you, goodbye. Right? They always say that you're never going to be good enough for the wrong person, and the right people are going to love you and accept you for you. And you're going to do that to yourself. And so I learned that. And so as my confidence came out, I started to try more things. And I learned that I went to the gym for like the first time because I always felt that being the fat girl, I wasn't allowed in the gym, or it was embarrassing to be in a gym because I didn't know what I was doing. But I gave myself permission to walk into the gym. And I learned, lo and behold, that I like strength training. I like HIIT workouts. They're things that I never tried before. I learned that I like to play tennis. And so because I learned about all these physical things that I'd never tried before, the next thing I knew, the weight was just coming off my body. And I was becoming happier and happier, not because the weight was coming off, but because I was exposing myself to more things that I enjoyed. Everything was just aligning beautifully. And I was becoming this more confident, outgoing, and self-assured version of Kaitlin. And so that's how I ended up where I am today, because in that I wound up leaving. I wound up leaving my husband. We wound up on two different paths. I was coming into this more confident, outgoing woman, and he wasn't parallel with that. He wasn't wanting to keep up with that, not willing to compromise. And I was like, I can't hold myself down anymore. I've done that to myself for too many years. It's time to move on. And that's what I did. And so a lot of people see divorce as a bad thing, but for me, it was a beautiful thing that opened me up to more opportunity. And so with that, I ended up living on my own. And from there, I ended up leaving the city I was living in, moving to a new city by myself, getting more coaching that I needed, getting business coaching and self-coaching, lifestyle coaching, and deciding that I wanted to be a coach to advocate for other women. And it's now my mission to help other women feel as beautiful as I feel and come as far as I've come, because no woman deserves to feel despondent or that she's putting up with her life. She deserves to love herself, believe in herself, know her value, know her worth, look at her body and love that body and achieve everything that she wants to achieve, because that's what I was able to do.
Oh, I love that. And I love your story. I know that I actually can resonate definitely with the whole body, image, because for me, it was, I didn't even recognize I had an eating disorder, but I at times would starve myself literally
Yep.
for days not eat. And on top of that, I felt proud of myself. I remember catching myself saying to one of my really good friends, I haven't eaten for 3 days. And I was like so proud of that. And I
Right.
thought, as I think back on that, I'm thinking, why was I thinking that that was a good thing? And I think it was because of the industry that I've been a part of, because I was modeling at the time. And the industry always would say that the clothes would look better when the thinner that you are. And so for me, I recognized that thin was where it was at. And so I was always yo-yo dieting. So I really can resonate with that. It's opposite a little bit to yours, but it also was very hard on my emotional
Yeah.
well-being, because I never saw myself as good enough.
Yeah.
If I was over a certain weight, I wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just coming into our own, especially when you go through the journey and you do your self-development work and you recognize that you're beautiful in the skin that you are in right
Yeah.
now, no matter how you look. That is like the first step. And then if you want to make changes, great. Like you said, you started going to the gym, you started
Yeah.
trying things that you hadn't done. You recognize that you really didn't want to be by yourself. You actually wanted to be out with people.
Yes.
But when you have that, belief that you grow up with, unless you were willing to change that mindset, you were going to stay
Yeah.
stuck in that life. And you, like you
Yeah.
said, you had two options:
Two
either
options.
you were going to die, or you were going to end up on a show that you found you were watching, and it was your favorite show to watch. And so I'm really glad that you were able to do what you do, because now the work that you're doing is moving women into that more alignment with
Yeah.
loving their reflection just the way it is now, without judging it or criticizing. Because I
Yeah.
think, especially when you're working out or you're trying to get to a certain like fitness level, you still can beat yourself up for it. So I love that. I love that's
100%.
what you're doing. So
Thank you.
tell me about your Facebook group. So what started this group, and what do you do like over in this group of yours? Tell us a
Yeah,
little bit about
so my Facebook community is Master Your Life and Body with Coach Kaitlin. And it very much aligns with what I do as a coach and an expert in self worth and confidence. But basically, the purpose of this group is to empower women, and not necessarily just with body image and confidence, but just in general life. So we talk about goal setting and motivation, and I provide lots of inspirational quotes, some from myself and some from outside sources. There's lots on the internet, just to encourage women to keep going. We all have that off day. We have that bad day. We all have that bad body image day. But it's just an empowerment group to remind women to keep going. There's more for you. The more that you show up for yourself and you take initiative every day to do something different, the easier it's going to be for you to grow into the person that you want to become. And so it's just a great way to connect women as well. There's lots of us who have been through experiences that we're ashamed of or we don't want to talk about because we think we're the only ones suffering or struggling through this, and everyone else has their shit together or they figured it out. But that's not the case. And so sometimes I'll share some more controversial things in here, just to get women talking and commenting, to remind us that we're not alone. Like there's always someone who's going through it or has gone through it. And so, yeah, it's just a motivational, inspirational place for us to come together as women. I'd like to say it's confidential, but in a way it's not. I keep everything in there confidential, but I don't know who's coming and going. You know what I mean? But it is a safe space to share what you want to share and just stay connected and just find inspiration and motivation to keep going with your goals and to love yourself and stay connected to yourself.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think too, one of the things, like you were saying, that a lot of women feel that they're alone, even still today, with all of social media and people talking about it, we're talking about it, but we're still holding on to our own personal journey,
Yeah.
because maybe because there's still not enough. I would think there's probably not enough talking about it within the family dynamics. So
Yeah.
people are still feeling, vulnerable when it comes to sharing what's really going on with them, feeling that they are alone, until they
Yeah.
find groups like yours, until they find groups that are around empowering each other and supporting each other and inspiring each other to do better, to live a better life and not be afraid to share your truth. I truly believe that finding your voice is important. And
It is.
that's why, yeah, and that's why I love women's groups like this,
Yeah.
because it's meant to let you speak your truth, even if it's controversial, even if someone doesn't agree with your opinion. That is okay,
That's okay. Those
because
are healthy conversations. We need that though, right? It goes
exactly.
into the idea that we all have a different opinion, but it's okay. As long as you're having healthy conversations and not turning it into hateful or you're wrong or your opinion doesn't matter, it can lead to healthy debates and help someone else see a different perspective. I love when women share their stories because that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that too. So now I know you have something really cool that you're doing right now that's coming up this month. And I definitely want you to talk about that now, if you wouldn't mind sharing that with the group, because I think it's very cool. You just finished a challenge, a 5-day challenge,
Good.
and you're starting something else now. And I really think it's important that I believe self care, honestly, for
Yeah.
me, has been life changing.
Yep.
And I truly believe that if women take a moment every single morning to put themselves first, they're the top of the list. Everyone in their life gets the best of them.
Yes.
Everything they do gets the best of them because they feel energized. They can focus. They're more intentional around the things that they do. So yeah,
Yes.
I'd love to hear about what you've got going on. It sounds really
Ah,
amazing.
yeah. Thank you so much for making that comment because self-care is so important. I preach that all the time in my community too, is always making time for yourself because that allows you to recognize that you matter too, right? You put yourself first. And like you say, you're in this happy mood and everything else projects from that throughout the day. So thank you for talking about that. But yes, I have another challenge coming up. This one's only 2 days. But it is called 2023, a year of progress, not perfection. And so we all know that society makes women feel like there's this perfect appearance and this perfection that we have to live up to all the time, whether it be in our bodies, our overall lives, our finances, our careers, our relationships, even just the way we decorate our homes, even look at Christmas itself, right? There's supposed to be this aesthetic. But this challenge is about walking away from all of that perfection in yourself and in your life and to take the progress route because it's through progress that we actually grow and change and transition and see the good results. Perfection isn't a real thing, but progress is beautiful because making mistakes and learning is how we get to the best end result. And so this challenge is going to teach you how to be comfortable with making progress, how to be comfortable with messing up and doing it wrong and learning from it and then doing it right, how to set proper goals and pursue them. And if you have a setback, it's okay, how to get over that setback and ultimately walk away feeling so much more confident because you've taken the time to make the progress. Because progress results in the lifestyle changes that we're all after. Perfection's never going to get you there. When you're searching for perfection, you might finally meet one point in perfection, but then you're going to turn around, you're going to be looking for perfection in something else, and so on and so forth. But let's progress together, and let's learn how to do it comfortably and confidently so that we feel good in ourselves and take 2023 by storm. So that's going to be taking place on December 28th and 29th inside Master Your Life and Body with Coach Kaitlin. And I'd love to share that in the group later, if that's still okay with you, Leslie. I'll put up
Yes,
a post with a
please.
link so women can hop in there and reserve their seat before December 28th. And they'll just be quick sessions, 12 o'clock Eastern time, no longer than half hour either of the days, and give you all the tools and tips that you're going to need to build on perfect progress in 2023.
I love that. Ending your year on a good note to start your next phase of your life, on this
Yeah.
positive path. That's really important. I think as women too, I believe we hold so much in and we don't let it go,
Oh,
or
yeah.
we don't let things we don't allow ourselves to actually take time and just be in the present moment to
Yeah.
focus on what's happening right now, because there's so much to do, there's so many options, there's so many ideas,
Yeah.
and we forget that just take a moment, figure out what's right for you,
Yeah, what
be
feels right in
confident.
this moment? And whatever happens from
Exactly.
that happens, and you take the next step from there. Stop stressing about it, right?
Yeah,
All we
yeah.
can do is one step at a time.
Yeah,
Yes,
I know. It's funny because I always say to my husband, he'll get upset about things, and I'll say, "Hun, there's no point in getting upset over something that you cannot control. So you
right?
might as well just, look at what you have in front of you that you can take care of, which is how you respond to it, and
Yeah.
then it'll work itself out. So like again, like as earlier today, I talked to you about just before going live. It was raining like crazy,
Yeah.
and I just decided, you know what? I found this beautiful quote that was saying, it says, I only think about expect and manifest best case scenarios. And I said to her,
Love
it's
that.
not going to rain. And right now it is not raining. So
Yes,
it's phenomenal.
and that's meant
Yeah.
to be, right? Just let things
Hmm.
happen and what is
Yes,
meant. Worst case scenario would have been what? Rescheduling to another day? Okay.
exactly.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, but I definitely
Beautiful.
wanted you here to, especially now, because I know, like as I said, what you're doing is really important. It
Thank you.
resonated so deeply with me because of my own past history around
Yeah.
body image. And now, I'm almost 60 years old, by the way. I'll be 60 in February, and I cannot believe that I look at myself now and I look, yeah, I might have gained a few pounds more than I'm used to wearing around my middle, but that's part of getting older. And I
Yes.
thought, you know what? I could sit here and pick it apart and be upset about how I look, or I can just be really like, say, you know what? I love you and you're amazing and you've got
Yes.
so much going for you. And you can get, and if it takes you a little bit longer to do certain things to tone up, that's okay. But
That's
that's not my
okay.
main focus. My main focus is
Yes.
just living my life joyfully every single day with gratitude. And yeah, so,
Yes.
and surrounding myself with women like yourself and the women in this
Beautiful.
community. So I appreciate that you came on.
Absolutely beautiful.
I definitely want you to go into the group, and you can, if you want to go live and do whatever you want to do. And there's like, I want everyone to understand that this group is meant for this. Like, share what you've got going on, share your
Yes.
stories,
Share and connect
share,
and communicate.
yeah, exactly. If you got
I love
something
it.
that can help someone immediately right now, share it. If you got an
Yeah.
offer, share it. If you want to connect with others, connect with each other in the group.
Awesome.
This
Yeah.
group is being formed so that we have a place to look already in our community of women who are crushing it in other areas of their life, but might have
Yeah.
something else for someone else in the group that needs it. And so that's why this is community is really important to me. It's one of my passion projects is to have this. It was created through my collaboration with the She Rises Studios team when they first brought me in to actually do a women's summit, and then I wrote a book with them. And because of my collaboration with them and this amazing community of women, it really inspired me to create this group, because I wanted women to feel like you don't have to feel restricted from posting about life, posting
Right.
about how you can help someone, because you never know. Like you were saying, there are women in our world right now who are going through things, who are not speaking up because they're afraid to speak up. They haven't
Yeah.
found their voice yet. And if
Yeah.
we can speak up first, you never know that
You
you're
never know.
speaking
If
up
you can
first.
inspire one person, that makes all
Mhm.
the difference in the world, right? Thank
Exactly.
you.
And if you speak up first, you never know that your speaking up could inspire them to speak up for the very first
Yeah.
time themselves. So
Yeah. Yeah.
thank you so much for being here. What's the best place for them to get a hold of you right now, if they want?
Definitely. I do love to have women in that community because, like you, I am all about community. And I do want to take this opportunity. I think I can say on behalf of everyone in this community, thank you for what you put together and how you're bringing us together, because it's another way for many of us to connect. And, a lot of women who might not necessarily know existed outside of this group. So thank you for bringing us together this way. But yeah, so you can join my community, Master Your Life and Body with Coach Kaitlin. I will put a link in this group for that. But if you want to reach out right away and have a personal conversation, you can feel free to email me directly at masteringmybody@gmail.com. And from there, we can have a quick conversation to talk about where you're at, what your goals are, and how you want to see yourself and what you want to overcome to step into the best version of who you are, the beautiful you that you are meant to be.
Oh, love that. And I'll make sure that I get all of your links as well to
Yeah.
put with this video, because I want it all together, and we'll
Okay.
post it in the group and save it to the group. It's already recorded in the group. So anyone who's popped in a little bit halfway through can go back and re-listen, or if someone couldn't come on live, they can go back in and they can listen to it. But I want to make sure I put all your stuff together. So don't go away. I'll make sure I get all your information, and we'll set that up. Ladies, I
Awesome.
hope you
Thank
found
you.
value listening to Kaitlin. She has got such an amazing story. I can't wait to hear all about Paris when she goes, and how that
Thank you. I'm so
unless of course
excited.
And
You're going
let's
to come
end
with me.
up.
You're coming in that
Yeah.
suitcase and you're going to experience
Yes.
it with me. So we'll tell
Uh,
the stories together when we get
Uh,
back.
I would love that. But definitely, yeah, definitely. If you are looking for a way to start your 2023 off on the right footing so that you can propel yourself into an amazing and glorious future for yourself, definitely check out our challenge coming up on the 28th and 29th of this month, 12 Eastern time in her Facebook community. I'll make sure that Kaitlin, I really do encourage you to put a post about it in the group. And as well, I'll make sure that I link all of her information with this video. With that being said,
Definitely.
ladies, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Kaitlin, thank you. And I will
Thank
see you
you
guys
for
on
having
again.
me.
Yeah, thank you. We've closed out the year of showcase interviews and definitely we'll be starting off back in January. So thank you, ladies. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.
Bye.